Hey there, you music-loving lovelies. How are you doing? Welcome back to Full Record Jacket with me, the Phil, and he, the Ben. And
You missed a trick, Phil.
did I?
You could have gone, "Hey boy, hey girl,
Oh, yes, it's
superstar
1999.
YouTubers, here
Here
we
we
go."
go. Yeah, it's 1999 in our albums of the 90s
Yeah, we are
series. This is
staring the millennium bug and the new century full on in the
the
face.
10th month of the year. So we have only to go through this year, eventually pick our three personal favourite albums of the year. Then we will have a whole load of three favourites from every year. And then we're going
Yeah.
to do something with those, haven't we? We haven't quite worked that out yet, have we?
No, we haven't quite worked that out. We've only had 10 months.
Yeah.
I think we're going to invite a couple of people on, aren't we, to pack it out a little bit. So we've got enough for a draw.
We need 64 albums
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make a
yeah.
knockout series and find which album is our personal favourite of the year that we can agree on.
Yeah.
Of the decade, really. That's yeah. So
It's going to be tough.
1999. What have we got, Ben? What happened in 1999?
Well, as you well know, the Millennium Dome was being built. Planes were going to fall out the sky, Philster. And in January of that year, and I think the single was released the year before, but it was their first album in 17 years.
Yeah,
Blondie and No Exit,
there's an actual
which you have it
CD.
there. I think I've got on CD as well. So I don't, apart from Maria, I don't have any abiding sort of. There's nothing from that album that sort of stands out to me.
You can't remember any of the songs on
No,
it.
no,
Well, there's Screaming Skin, the opening song.
nope,
Remember that? Quite bonkers song,
nope.
which Debbie did at Glastonbury. She may have had some alcoholic drinks before that performance. Um, do you remember the title song "No Exit" that had a rapper on it?
Nope.
I can't think of who the rapper was because obviously Blondie set the precedent, didn't they, back in the early '80s of Debbie doing a rap on an album, and then
Yeah.
they kind of carried on with that tradition. I can't remember who the rapper was. It may come to me. Um, there's another track on here which is one of my favourite Blondie tracks of all time, and that's "Under the Gun," which is their tribute to Jeffrey Lee Pierce from the Gun Club. Um, that's a great track.
Nope. Still, this is not resonating with me at all, Philster.
Do you remember the
You
jazz
might as well
song?
say, what's that?
Do you remember the jazzy song "Boom Boom" in the Zoom Zoom Room? That's their
No,
sort of that's their sort of loungy jazz song on this album.
no. Did you just make that up?
No, it's true. There's a song
Is
on this
it?
album called "Boom Boom" in the Zoom Zoom Room.
You could literally tell me there's a song on that album called Chocolate Fun Cake and the Star Beating Monkey Children, and I would still wouldn't resonate with me, Philster. I have
Well,
no abiding memory of that album apart from
Maria.
Maria. Yeah,
Well, there
that
you
is
go.
it.
You'll have to give it another spin. Debbie and the boys need to go on your headphones again.
Yeah.
See what you
The
think.
fact it doesn't resonate with me makes me think it doesn't need to re-resonate with me.
Give it a go. It's Blondie. What else could you want?
Well, anyway, next up on this list, and I'm looking at the
Yeah,
Radio X list,
yeah.
is the second album from Marshall Mathers, the Slim Shady LP,
Oh,
which
yeah.
featured the hit song "My Name Is."
His name
Slim
is
Shady.
his name is Slim Shady. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't. Once again, I know the singles. I don't really have much. Wasn't really a big hip hopper in '99. So third up, and I remember this because it was released a couple of days after my birthday, and I remember buying it from a record shop near Lytham St Anne's, and it's the second album from the Welsh trio, Performance and Cocktails, Stereophonics.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that's a great album. I do like that. I know you don't sort of are not a massive Stereophonics fan, but I do enjoy that album.
Is that the best one?
I don't know. The first album's very good as well. This one's obviously a little bit more polished. But then Sex, Language, Violence, Other gets good reviews from 2005. But I would say this and the first one are probably the best two. But then again, I've not listened to much later Stereophonic stuff to make an overall judgment. So I honestly couldn't say. But so yeah, that was out. And I do have a lot of love for that album. Next up on their list is the sixth album from Blur and 13.
Yeah, now that's obviously going to be up there with for many people.
Yeah. So that's on there. Once again, the singles Out of Time. Tender was a great no distance left to run. Coffee and TV, great singles. Don't know a lot about the album, if I'm honest. Blur weren't
No
really on my
distance left to
radar.
run is a very good track, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
A downbeat Blur song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be worth a listen.
And then next up, Post Orgasmic Chill from Skunk and Nancy.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Once again, none of these, apart from Performance and Cocktails, none of these are. Because number 6 is Come On, Die Young by Mowgli. Again, doesn't really. I don't know too much. I mean, we are 6 albums in, and I only know something about one of them. Well, 2 of them, but that second. Well, I know the singles, but I don't know. But anyway, next up is Suede Head Music, which does include She's in Fashion, if I remember rightly. She's in Fashion.
Now that could be worth another listen because as I remember, that's a good album, as I can recall.
I think I've got Head Music. I think I'll double check that one. I'll double check. Next up on the list is everybody's favourite techno baldster. It's Phil.
Oh, I am.
Remember when you conned the world and telling them that you were called Moby?
I know. I pretended to be an American DJ, didn't I? Yeah.
You did. 1 second, we're just waving goodbye. Prywan is leaving the building to go and make spring rolls. And she looks immensely happy at the fact she's going off to make spring rolls. So, everybody watching, say goodbye. It's like episode of Play School. Yeah, I know the singles off of that album, but not a lot else. Is that the one with is it Modern Ways or whatever? Which is the one with the theme song from the Bourne films?
I don't know.
Don't really know. 1999 is proving to be a little bit barren, Philster. Or it could be a doorway into unheard albums. Albums that we should have listened to and never did.
Yeah,
so maybe it does have a slight benefit to it that we might not know nothing about 1999 apart from Performance and Cocktails and obviously your stint as a electronic American DJ. So, but anyway, next up, album number 9 in the Radio X list is an album that you got me into from playing a song on radio called Race for the Prize, which is a stupendous song, and it's a great album cover. It is The Flaming Lips and the Soft Bulletin.
Got that. I've got to get that out, but I got that banging around somewhere on CD. But yeah,
I think I've got it on vinyl.
A groovy, dreamy album. Yeah,
it is a very groovy, dreamy album, and I think it was something like their 15th album or something crazy like that.
Something like that. They've been around a while, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, haven't they been around since like the late 70s or something?
I'm not sure it's quite that long, but they had
been around a long time. I'm going to have a look, because I know I've got the album on CD. Oh, I don't have it on vinyl. So there we go. So, but yeah, Waiting for a Superman, that was another great track. but I do love that Race for the Prize, and it is a really good album cover. And I don't know, because it is. I think with the Warner Brothers logo here, it could almost be a it's almost like a cover you'd get on a film score. But I do like that. I tell you what, we need to do a show on our favourite album covers, because that is one of my favourite album covers.
It's
That one,
quite a timeless one, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, everybody's favourite Scottish middle of the roaders. No, it's not Wet, 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 or Idlewild. It is Travase and the
Okay,
Man Who.
I was wondering whether you're going to spring the Proclaimers on then, but
Oh, you know what? We could be the Proclaimers. Get you a wig, and me and you could be a Proclaimers tribute act. I think that'd be a pretty decent film. Me and you riding around in a little van, doing all the working men's club up and down the country. One song, because that's all people want to hear. Travis, do you know what? This album was massive at the time. It's got Why Does It Always Rain on Me, Writing to Reach You, Driftwood. Really, really good singles. But I actually preferred the follow-up album, The Invisible Band, to this. I never really got into this album at all.
did the second album rock a teeny bit more?
I don't know.
Was it a little bit? Did it have a little bit more energy to it? The second album.
Maybe a fraction. I just preferred the songs on it, if I'm honest. I mean, to be fair, if the Man Who was literally just Writing to Reach You, Driftwood, Turn, Why Does It Always Rain on Me, then you go, yeah, that's a pretty decent EP.
What was the song? I think it's by Travis, and I think it was on the second album. And it has the lyric: the neighbour's got a new car that you want to drive.
They wanted The Circle.
That's the circle. Yeah, I think so.
Circle
yes,
only has one side.
For some reason,
that you want to drive.
I remember.
Time is gone, you want to stay alive.
I remember being in your car and you were playing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember. I have a memory of that song, of you having that one in your car. But that was the second
from the boot.
Yeah, that was the second album, wasn't it?
That was the second album. Yeah. So I do like that album. The second album, I know it's quite middle of the road Travesy, but I don't. I think that's a better album than well, that wasn't their debut album, The Man Who, because I think they had an album. I think they had an album before The Man Who that didn't really do a lot, and obviously Travis as well. I think got really big around that time from when they did the Britney Spears cover on Mark and Lard, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
In the sort of early summer of '99 when they did Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Yeah, I always felt with Travis that their music was, they headlined Glastonbury and did Why Does It Always Rain on Me? Yeah, they did. They headlined. I remember watching Glastonbury, and they were the main band on one night. They were the headline band, and they did Why Does
Really?
Yeah, the audience was singing along to Why Does It Always Rain on Me and everything. They were the biggest thing at that time, weren't they? I mean, I think it would have been around '99 because there were no.
Yeah, they did in 2000.
Yeah, it was 2000 then. I remember I think it was the same year that David Bowie did the Sunday Night.
He did. David Bowie, Travis, and the Chemical Brothers headlined.
Yeah, they were the headline. But to me, you see, for a band headlining Glastonbury, their style of music was, for me, I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it. It was fine, but it's kind of like, I feel like it goes in the same category as singer-songwriters like James Taylor or Cat Stevens. Does that make any sense?
James Blunt.
Yeah, you can imagine James Taylor or Cat Stevens doing "Why Does It Always Rain on Me," can't you?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
and the Driftwood and all that. It's, to me, it's not as exciting as Oasis or
Hey
even
Boy,
the
Hey
Manics or anything like that. To headline Glastonbury, but that's just me waffling on.
No, you waffle, Phil. You tell the people how it is about Travis. I didn't realise they headlined Glastonbury.
That's
blown my mind.
They were very, very big briefly.
They were well. I think they fall into this sort of category a bit like Feeder. Feeder got massive for a year or so.
I think Travis was much bigger than Feeder, though.
Oh, do you think?
I think they played on the radio much more. They were much more of a
He's
mainstream
got a brand
phenomenon.
new car, looks like a Jaguar. Especially after
Yeah,
the
I'm not.
was it the drummer or the guitarist died in Feeder, and they and then the Charlatans were really big for a year or so with their Wonderland album, and Ash were really big for a little while, all around that sort of early 2000s period, late 90s, early. Supergrass became more sort of with pumping on your stereo and moving and all that. So there was this period of between 1999 and about 2002 to before the sort of Strokes invasion and the 4Ks, Kings of Leon, Kasabian, Kaiser Chiefs, and Kings of Leon, Kaiser Chiefs, Kings of Leon. What's the other band around that time?
Kasabian.
Kasabian, Kaiser Chiefs, Kings of Leon, and there's another one with a
Oh, I don't
K.
know. I've not
Killers.
heard. Oh
The
yeah, I've not heard
Killers.
of that. Why have I never heard of the 4Ks before?
Well, maybe the first rule of 4K Club is no one talks about 4K Club, Philster.
They haven't
So I'm
talked about
letting
it to
you in.
me.
I'm letting you
Yeah,
in. So there was this sort of gap. There was this sort of period before the Strokes and that sort of American rock came in,
yeah,
and then you had that pit. Like that when you started having the influx of the, when record labels were trying to find a new Strokes and they couldn't, so they were just sending out things like, Kaiser Chiefs and what was that? The Thrills, Athlete, people like that. But there
yeah.
was this sort of void that needed filling, and for a small period of time, Feeder, the Charlatans, Travis, and Ash seemed to fill that sort of void at the time.
I've always felt that the Charlatans obviously were a band that's never totally gone away. I know they had a bit. They obviously had a lot of coverage and were quite prominent in their very early, first couple of albums.
Yeah, yeah,
And then in around the mid-90s, the Charlatans had another bit of a resurgence to the mainstream. They had One to Another was a big hit,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. Well, that Telling Stories album wasn't
Yeah,
it
yeah.
around because they,
Okay. But then they had another one in the early 2000s, did they? I don't really remember that.
yeah, when they released, I think it's called Wonderland, the album, but they
That was
were
more prominent again.
they were just sort of I'm sure it's called Wonderland.
I
Charlatans.
mean, they've never really stopped, have they? They've just carried
No,
on doing
no,
their thing.
no. And I didn't realise they were formed in Birmingham in the West Midlands.
What the Charlatans were.
That's what it says on even a Tim Burgess, isn't he from like Wigan Way or
I
something like
always
that?
thought they were more like Cheshire, but I got that totally wrong.
Yeah, yeah, because it says that unless they were at university down here or something like that. So Tim Burgess, let's have a look. Discography, Wonderland, 2001, and that album seemed to be. There's the album cover. I remember going to Sainsbury's especially to go and buy
Oh
that
yeah, yeah,
album.
okay, you may be
It
right
had
now.
"Love Is the Key" and stuff like. But yeah, it just seemed to. Yeah, it's weird how they sort of that period just got filled with stuff. But yeah, the 4Ks. Now you know, Philster. It wasn't the follow up to the Calder Shaker album. So, but yeah, anyway, that's in the list. Travis. I don't think we need to bore anybody anymore with Travis because they do that perfectly well. They've come back. Travis have got new singles and album out, and Fran Healy, the lead singer, he's he he's in between me and you, Philster, in the follicle stakes. The wicket has patches, but it's not a full lawn, and it's not quite a cricket wicket like your good self. Full lawn cricket wicket, and he's dyed it red, and it just makes me think. I'm going to show you a picture, and I don't mean to highlight male patterned hair loss in anybody but if I show you what he looks like at the moment, what other 90s sort of comedic sort of person does he remind you of? And when I show it you, ready? I don't know if you can.
I'm ready.
There you go.
Yeah, the guy who's on a lot of the panel shows. I've forgotten his name.
Do you think he looks like Dennis Pennis?
Oh no, okay. I wasn't thinking of Dennis Pennis. I was thinking another one. But yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
does. Obviously, it does look a bit like that.
Yeah, and I kind of think just shave it off. Come on, stop it now, Fran. But anyway, enough of Travis. Next up on the list is the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Is on there. Another album which I remember it being out.
That's Californication.
Californication.
Yeah,
And I think it is a
quite
good
cool
album.
artwork on that. Yeah, good
Yeah,
artwork on that
yeah.
album as well.
It is very good artwork. Do you know what they've done there? They've borrowed they've borrowed the New Order way of doing an album cover there, haven't they? It's kind of like a cut and shot job in the pool. The pool with the sky in the pool and the water in the sky. It's kind of looks like it was cut and shut by the same guy who did that New Order album. But anyway, next up, because that album doesn't, is Blink 182.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got What's My Age Again and All the Small Things. That one on there.
Now is that pretty much American sort of high energy American punk type stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what it is because you know me, Ben. I like a bit of rock and roll, and I
You do?
like up tempo rocking songs, and I like all kinds of
Yes,
different guitar bands.
you do.
But I've never really dug that sort of 90s American punky type stuff.
Stuff.
I don't know
They,
why.
no. Is it because it was kind of like they were like the precursor? I suppose they get classed like an emo band, don't they?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Or what was known as, at one time, was it known as skater music? I don't know, or
Yeah,
emo
yeah,
music.
yeah.
But
Remember Avril Lavigne? He was a
yeah, yeah.
scaler boy.
Yeah, it's those sorts of songs where they're up tempo and they're very sort of American accents, and they're singing in these slightly high pitched American accents, and they're playing at quite high tempo, and I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
like it, but I just find it just doesn't grab me for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, it never grabbed me really. I like bits of 182. I love the song "Miss You," but I never was
I'll have to have a listen to that album because I know that was a very popular album, I believe, at that
album. It was
time.
at the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At number
So,
13 on the Radio X list is the Backstreet Boys.
okay.
And no, it's not. It's Sigur Ross.
The
Look,
Icelandic.
it's a little baby Phil. Sigur Ross, and do not even try and get me to pronounce the album cover because it's in Icelandic, and it looks like someone just got all the letters left after you've made lots of words from Scrabble and made a word out of it. So it just says here the Icelandic Sound Sculptors released their second album, which included the epic Star. Anyway, that song soon to appear on a million wildlife documentaries. I do remember Sigur Ross. I remember one of their songs being played a lot on the radio. So I will look forward to that. And I think this next one at 14 will be an album that I think I want to listen to, and I think you might want to listen to, because it was the opening of the door of that American sort of sound coming through, like the Strokes and all that. It is the White Stripes and the White Stripes.
Yeah.
Jack and Meg.
I did dig the White Stripes.
Yes, I do like the White Stripes. Never listened to them as much as I should do. They should go into one of those band categories of bands I enjoy, but never really listened to enough. I love the track "Hardest Button to Button." I don't know why, but I really like that track. And obviously, Seven Nation Army was the first song I learnt on the bass because it's easy, and I'm all about ease, Philster. Next up is the itch my nose is the third album, the follow up to Dig Out Your Own Hole, or was there another album in between? Can't remember, but it's the Chemical Brothers and Surrender.
That's it. Yeah.
Hey boy, hey girl. That's probably the most remembered iconic track off of that album. But obviously, it had Let Forever Be with Noel Gallagher on that, which I had on CD single and played to death. So I actually heard it on the radio the other day. It was kind of like wishing an old relative back from a long holiday. Sort of meeting them at the airport, big hug, big embrace. So not that I'm going to select Embrace. Anyway, next up is a band that I can imagine that neither me or you could care anything about, and it's Limp Bizkit.
What's the name of that guy? Was that Fred Durst? Was he the
Fred
Limp
Durst,
Bizkit
yeah,
guy?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
That
even the album cover is awful. Look at
to
that
me,
thing.
that's the band. Yeah, that sums up what I don't like about American rock music. Really.
Yeah, I don't mind the song. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, rolling, rolling,
Yeah, I
rolling.
just found them really annoying. I don't know what it is about them, but you know how lots of people really sneer at American bands of the type of Bon Jovi, those kind of
Yeah,
bands. But
yeah.
I can enjoy a bit of Bon Jovi. I don't actually hate those
Well,
bands.
living on a prayer.
Maybe I'd prefer a less overplayed song, but I can enjoy a bit of Bon Jovi. I don't actually hate it. Some people actually hate it, but those things like Limp Bizkit, I really
I
just I don't
think
know.
Limp Bizkit were almost became a self-parody.
That's how I felt about it. Although I would be lying if I told you that I'd listened to all the Limp Bizkit albums. I haven't, so maybe I'm in no position to slag them off because maybe I should. You know,
I don't think you need to have listened to all the Limp
probably
Bizkit
not. Probably
albums
not.
to.
But maybe I shouldn't slag off a band if I haven't gone through all the stuff. You know. But there you
Yeah.
go.
Well, another an album now next up, which is 30 years. They've got the number on by 30 years, and it's now what I've never heard of until you mentioned it before the countdown came on, and it's the Magnetic Fields in '69. I've never heard of
Six,
that album.
69 love songs. I think
Is
there
it?
are that many
Yes.
songs. There are that many songs on the album.
Is it good? Have you listened to it?
No, but I remember it was highly regarded. Now, the band name is the Magnetic Fields, isn't it? If I remember that
Yes.
correctly,
Yeah.
but it's one guy really. So that's a sort of an ID name for one guy called, I think his name was Stephen Merritt. Have I got?
Merit. Yes.
Yeah, he wrote all the songs, I believe.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a mammoth task, a
it's a
triple album.
mammoth.
You've got to be really invested to listen to three
I know.
discs.
But it got good reviews. You know, you'd think, well, how can he write 69 songs? I mean, surely some of them must be a bit rubbish, you know, to do all those many songs. But
Well, we may
it's
have to listen to it.
we might have to do that.
Right, next up on this list. And do you know what? I have seen quite a few albums I want to listen to. I do remember, because didn't these do something with Oasis at some point? It's Death in Vegas. Weren't they producing Standing on the Shoulders of Giants or something
I
like that?
think was there not? Again, all I can recall was there talk of a collaboration, and that never happened.
Something like that, wasn't there? Because I remember, didn't Liam Gallagher do a song with Death in Vegas?
He may have done. There was some kind of connection there. I think you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, let's have
you should know this, Ben.
I remember it because it sounds like the song sounds like is it Pictures of Matchstick Men or whatever it is by Status Quo?
Early psychedelic status quo. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what was the song? I'm trying to. I can't remember. Scorpio Rising, wasn't it that Liam Gallagher did with them?
Right. Yeah. Okay, that rings
Uh,
a bell.
yeah, yeah. Scorpio Rising. So yeah, that was a great track, and yeah, because do you remember it was around the early 2000s? Remember the Cooper Temple clause? I
Not
remember
really.
hearing that and thinking, wow, this is a really great Oasis track. And then it turned out it's the Cooper Temple clause.
Right.
And that was very much that sort of Death in Vegas sort of feel. But I'm quite looking forward to listening to that album. So, right, we're down to the last 5. And next up is an album. It's maybe controversial, but I think it's possibly my favourite album by this artist. I remember, because I'm posh, listening to this on a Saint-Tropez beach quite a lot, and I love the album cover. Possibly one of my favourite album covers. It's Supergrass and Supergrass. So that had Pumping on Your Stereo, which I think comically they sing Humping on Your Stereo. And it's obviously got Moving as well on there. Moving, just keep moving. So, have you ever listened to it, Philster? It's got Mary on it as well. That's a
I
great
don't
track.
think I don't think I've listened to that one. I think I've listened
It's
to
a
the one that may have been after that one.
Yeah, it's a good album. Good album. And they've just reformed again, Supergrass have. They're going to, I think they're going to tour. This is Coco. Is
I
it this?
Should Coco, the
I Should
first album.
Coco, sorry. In its full entirety. I think that's what I heard. Oh, wait. Next up at number 20, Devon's Finest and another artist that I don't really listen to, and maybe I should, but I just don't. It's Muse and Showbiz. I'll probably give it a listen, but I probably won't. But I will, I think, in the gym maybe. At 21 is his 22nd album. Is David Bowie in Hours, which I think I've got on CD, but I don't think I
Oh,
listened
I've
to it.
I'd forgotten all about that one. If you'd asked me
Yeah,
for David Bowie albums around that time, I'd be saying, well, that's early '90s. Black Tie, White Noise, and then
Earthling,
Earthling, and then what's the other one? There's
Heathen.
Earthling,
Heathen
Heathen.
was
That's the
early.
other
Was
one.
2000, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd
2001.
forgotten about that one. Hours, and then there's also Outside. There was one called Outside, wasn't there? One
Yeah, yeah.
Outside. I've forgotten about that. Hours. I don't think I've ever heard it.
No, I think I bought it from. I remember being in the Land of Pound, and they used to have a CD section. I used to pick up quite a few from there of albums in the 90s and that I hadn't bought. And I think I've got it, but I've never listened to it. And I know we were talking about it earlier, the Mighty Charlatans, but they're next up with Us and Us Only. Doesn't ring any bells with me. I don't have any recollection of any tracks off of that album, really. So we're going to number 23, which is the Foo Fighters, which has got Learn to Fly on it, which I think is a great track. And I know the Foo Fighters get a little bit of kickback, don't they? Dave Grohl sort of, you know.
To me, they're the British version. The American version of Stereophonics.
Yeah, I can see that.
That they're sort of popular, and I can sort of see what people like in them, but it's never really blown me away,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that makes any sense. But I haven't listened in depth to the Foo Fighters, and I know people have been telling me that there are one or two albums that are good and I should listen to them, but I've never really been that
To get best
intrigued.
of.
And I don't have anything against Dave Grohl. He seems a fun guy. Likes to keep appearing as guests on everybody's records, and I liked what he did in Nirvana, and I did dig Nirvana a fair bit, but
Yeah, yeah.
I've never
I like
really
the
got
Foo
into
Fighters.
yeah, I should perhaps give them more of a chance and be more open
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. So next up, we're down to the last two on this foray into 1999. And at 24, it was released in November of this year, and it's the second album from Manchester's first and original Monkey Man. It is Ian Brown and Golden Greats.
Oh, I remember that
A
coming out.
really good
Yeah,
album. And it's got Dolphins Were Monkeys, which I bought on CD single. Love is like a fountain. Really, really good album. When it first came out, I thought it was a best of because it was called Golden Greats. But Ian Brown solo stuff is really good. I think it's quite underrated. So, last up on this list of our 1999 albums that we're probably going to have to listen to, because by the looks of it, Philster, we did not listen to a lot of stuff in 1999. It's will it be his third entry into Phil's list? It's Beck and Midnight Vultures. There it is. Super Beck. Could he make it into Phil's top three? Is there nepotism going to creep in with Beck?
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But they are some of the albums, Phil, so that we need to consider.
So, did they put Midnight Vultures at the top, or was it just because it came out at the end of the year?
It came out end of the year. It came out in November '99.
There's another one I've not seen on these lists. I looked at another list. I didn't think this was on there, and I think this album should be on lists because I think this is an excellent '90s album.
Oh, what, the Beck album? Which album's that?
It's Wilco and Summer Teeth. It's a weird name for an album, Summer Teeth. It is the third album by, there's Jeff Tweedy, the third album by Wilco. And if you think that the first Wilco album was a little bit sort of country rock, I suppose, and with a very slight punky attitude to it. The second album being there, which I think was one of my favourites of '96, wasn't it? I think it was up there. The double album was more of a sort of an expansive classic rock affair with a bit of country, a little bit of country, a little bit of bluesy stuff, but a lot of sort of what I suppose you broadly call rock songwriting. The third album, that second album was maybe had a little bit of a Rolling Stones influence. The Rolling Stones, the band, 70s.
Yeah, I know Rolling Stones are. I know they're a band.
And Wilco's third album, Summer Teeth, this one, I think has a little bit more, that there's a little bit more Beatles and Beach Boys and Birds kind of harmonies on it, and a little bit more towards that sort of sunshine 60s style, rather than just the 70s rock. So it's just a slight different influence, but I think it's a very good album. I listened to this loads at the time, and I still think it's great now.
I need to have a. Well, this is the thing. Like I was saying earlier, I think 1999 has thrown up the fact that there isn't a standout album for us, and it is a period of probably because Britpop was on the wane, and it was almost like a transition sort of year in music that we probably didn't listen to. Like I said, that Stereophonics album will probably be in my top three because that was a big album for me at the time.
I think you're certainly right that there was, within the sort of alternative music scene, we'd had Britpop and everything was about Britain, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mainly
we were
about
more
British
dancey music around this time, weren't we? Things like David and Wind.
The last big period for American music was Nirvana and so-called grunge, etc. Then we had Oasis and we had Britpops, whatever you want to call it, and a lot of British groups were in the focus. And then I suppose you're right. After that, there was in the early 2000s, there were some more prominent American acts like Kings of Leon and the Strokes, particularly the Strokes, and to some extent the Killers. I know some people are a bit sniffy about the Killers, aren't they? But they were all successful and they all made a bit of an impact. But yeah, this was kind of in between those periods, really.
Yeah. So it's a weird one. Like I said, the Travis thing, I never really got that album. So I may have to listen to it, but I just find it a bit twee.
Well, it is kind of, it's middle of the road, I think.
Yeah.
I always felt that Travis sounded like it was a middle of the road singer-songwriter music. Not that there's anything really wrong with that if you want to chill out to something like that. No. But
I mean, you did message me the other week and said, give me 3 or 5 James Blunt songs that you should listen to.
Well, I just, because I know you had a compilation of him and you say that some of his stuff is actually not as bad as it's made out to be. And I saw something of him on TV or somewhere where I saw something about him and I thought maybe I should find some songs by him that no one generally hears, some album cuts, whatever, that are
Yeah.
actually that could actually change my
Did you listen?
view of James Blunt. I haven't listened to them, I must confess. Sorry, you gave me the reply, and then I kind
To
of
be fair,
forgot about it. I must add them to
it's
my list.
it's taken you almost 30 years to listen to Maybe You've
Yeah,
Been Brainwashed
exactly.
too. So maybe when we're in the old folks home together,
Yeah, yeah.
you may have listened to
I'll have to
Jay.
stick it. I'll stick it on my playlist of odds and ends and tracks that I sometimes listen to if I go out for a walk because I want to catch up with some of these tracks that I've been tipped off about or whatever.
Yeah,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll add them on there, and I will listen to these three James Blunt songs, and I'll see what I think of them.
It almost makes me feel a bit wrong the fact that you asked me to recommend, and I actually managed to
You
recommend them.
recommended three songs. I've never heard of them. I don't know what they're like. I'll do
I
Ed
should have just
Sheeran. I'll do
lied
Ed.
and said I've asked.
We'll do Ed Sheeran next.
Yeah, yeah. I should have lied and said I've chat GPT this, and this is what it came out with. These are the three James Blunt songs which will less likely make you want to jump off a bridge. So, but yeah, 1999 is kind of very much uncharted territory for us. There's no Oasis. There's none of these big Britpop. I mean, obviously Blur's in there, but there's none of this. They're all sort of on the come down, weren't they? There wasn't that sort of big bravado album, so it's going to be
There were no really dominant albums that stood out in the culture for that
no,
year. Really,
no.
it's all a case of
So,
pick what you like, and there's a whole load of stuff, but pick what you want, and there you go.
but
So
then again, I say that I have got that Supergrass album and the Stereophonics album, so that could be two of mine already chosen. So it could end up, because there are slim pickings, it could be quite an easy year, which we need because the previous 8 years, 9 years have been really hard.
well, viewer, are there albums of 1999 that we've not cottoned onto yet that we should
Oh,
be
oh, oh,
listening
yeah, I've
to?
got one.
Let us know. Go on.
I've got Santana had an album out that year because remember he
So
did the
that,
song
yeah, yeah,
with
with Rob
Rob Thomas
Thomas.
and Matchbox 20, didn't he?
So that was it. That was the big mainstream success album of that year, was it? That was the one that was
Yeah,
selling in the
what was it?
supermarkets.
Yeah, Supernatural,
Super,
wasn't it? That was a massive album
Supernatural.
around that.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a massive album in '99.
That was the radio favourite. So that was the one. Okay.
So that might go in there as well, yeah, because it's got Rob Thomas, Eric Clapton, Eagle Eye Cherry, Lauryn Hill, Dave Matthews. It's got quite a lot of people on that album. So that I could have
That's
thrown the biggie in there.
that's where I think Clive Davis. I may be wrong about this, but am I right that Clive Davis was behind that?
Yes, yeah, he
The
was, yeah,
impresario, and he kind
yeah,
of set. I think that may have been the album that set the tone for if you're going to get a legendary performer who hasn't had a hit album for some time, that you bring them back by doing an album where there's lots of current performers guesting with them. And I know that was also done a bit before that with Frank Sinatra, wasn't it? And that, but yeah, you bring back the aging legend and you get all the current stars to do duets with them, and
yeah,
then
because
that,
you could almost say that
yeah,
about the
it's been done
Goddess in a
with a few.
Doorway album from 2001 by Mick Jagger,
He
because
had a
that
lot of
had,
guests on, did he? Yeah.
yeah, because he had Rob Thomas, Bono. Who else did he have on it? Pete Townsend.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I've
Vision of
forgotten that.
Paradise had Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas is just making people's albums. He's just all over it.
It's been done with people like Dolly Parton and
Yeah, yeah.
who else has done? Jerry Lee Lewis did an album like that in the 2000s,
Yeah, I remember, yeah. Oh,
which
well,
was the most
uh,
successful thing he ever did.
Glenn Campbell did it, didn't he?
Yes, I think so. With
Glenn
yeah,
Campbell did it because he had he did well. Did he have other people or did he just do
I
covers?
think Glenn Campbell did a lot of covers of more modern
Covers, yeah, because he did
songs.
"Time of Your Life," didn't he? And
I think
Travis is, yeah, yeah.
they
But
did
yeah,
it
you
that
get the
way.
idea anyway. So yeah, that could be one to throw into the mix, Philster.
Okay, so what have we overlooked, folks? Let us know in the comments, and we will discuss 1999 again at some future date. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Bye for now.